All right, folks, here we are for another session of Off the Grid. I wanted to welcome my next guest. He's a dope MC that calls the West Coast home. Welcome, Darren G. Brother, thank you for joining me. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I told you when we first coordinated this thing, I saw you on a Cypher Effect video from 10 years ago. So it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. And so, yeah, I was like, man, this dude is sick. I wonder if he's still rhyming, man. And you know, lo and behold, man, that's great, man. It's good to hear that you're still doing music and doing your thing. But that's great, man. Just having stuff floating around there, man, from back in the day. So it leads to things like this.
Yeah.
But hey, man, let's talk about your background real quick. Where were you born? Where exactly you were at? How long you been making music?
Well, honestly, I was born and raised in San Diego. I was born in Balboa Hospital, the old one. And yeah, I've been here now for another year. I left about 6 years ago or so. I moved to Louisiana for a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
big change, you know, and then moved back over to the West Coast after that. Lived in Vegas for about 4 years, four or five. And then I moved back to Cali about a year ago. So I've been back in Cali. I'm back in San Diego. So yeah, I stay in San Diego still. And I started emceeing when I was really, really young. I got inspired like real young, like way before like the Eminem days and stuff, you know, about a lot of people. That's the funny thing is, you know, once he got a lot of publicity and, you know, he made a name for himself, you know, every white person is going to be compared to him. But before that, there was like a lot more influence from like East Coast for me. I didn't get a lot of West Coast, like not even local. I didn't get like people who took me under their wing, or I saw things and got inspired or anything from the West Coast. I had to actually dig later on, and I found one of my favorite MCs. Actually, I'll say two of my favorite MCs are from the West Coast, but the rest are not really. A lot of them gravitate in the whole East Coast braggadocious battle rap style, right? So that's where I kind of gravitate towards. But the two MCs in the West Coast that I think are very, very dope are Evidence and Crooked Eye. So those two are big influences. You know, they both have a different style than most West Coast MCs. But yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. So who was it from the East Coast that you heard first? And who was your experience of rap?
I think that I got a lot of like who was it? It was a lot of like Wu-Tang and but these are just like snippets. Like it was always like something off of BET or something. You know what I mean? I barely even caught it, and I'm like, what was that? You know, like this one song, I can't quite remember who it was. I'd have to look it up. But the song, like one of the first songs that I saw a music video, and I was just like, what? That is sick. It's like it was called like Beef or something. It was like back in the days, it's nothing but beef or something like that. It was like that was the hook. And what I remember was it was a bunch of dope MCs, like heavy hitters, but I had no idea who they were at the time. And they were all having a meeting or something with this MC in this like conference room and shit. And that's what this video was like. And I was just like, damn. And then that shit just fucking inspired me. And then another big influence, honestly, was when I was 11. This is kind of like the birth of Darren G, kind of. So when I was 11, I lived in an apartment complex. It was a really big apartment complex. And there was this girl, she was my friend. And for my 11th birthday, she bought me the Coolio Gangster's Paradise tape. And it came with the single on one side and the instrumental on the other. And that's what I wrote my first rap to, was that instrumental. So, you know, I was, you know, playing around with words before that, but that was the first time I solidified it in my room with my little purple boombox. I'll never forget it. It was a little purple one, you know what I mean? Played tapes, didn't even have CDs yet, you know what I mean? Everybody had CDs, I had tapes. Like, I was always behind, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, I'll buy that car 15 years when you get rid of it. You know, like that type of shit.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Good big influence, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and that's a good point that you mentioned too, was that, you know, we would only hear stuff on MTV or, you know, whatever channel, and we were lucky to catch the beginning if they introduced who the rapper was at the time. And so you hear it on the radio and you're just guessing who these people are, man. So yeah, I do remember, like, you know, when I would hear a dope song saying that, man, like, yeah, that's a good point, man. And so with that, man, you mentioned Coolio. That single was instrumental into you writing your first rap. Yeah. And so as you began developing yourself as an MC, do you have any key albums that were just like, man, these were fundamental in me becoming Darren G, the rapper? Any favorite albums that stick out?
Actually, yeah, going on, this kind of flows in a little bit to the whole, like, hearing about certain people too, because I think the biggest influential albums for me aren't really technically albums, because the albums are like one person, maybe a couple features, but it's like, that's a style. I got really influenced and a lot of dope, like, content from the Wake Up Show.
Oh yeah.
I got I used to go to, okay, yeah, that's how it happened. They need to bring those back. You remember Music Traders back in the day? Oh my God. Music Trader, there was a Music Trader in El Cajon. We used to skateboard over there, to go inside, used to dig. They used to let you, if you go up to the register, they'll open the CD for you, and then they'll let you go over, and they had all these, like, headphone setups, and you could put the CD in, and you could play it, and you could check it out before you bought it. Well, we were poor skateboard kids and we couldn't afford the CDs most of the time. So we were in there just digging, listening a lot of times, like, wow. And we were just finding all this dope ass shit. And yes, eventually I did buy the Wake Up Show CDs, but the volumes, I used to get the volumes, and I would be hearing all these dope MCs like Mike Hill Myers and Arrogant. Woo! and who else? Like, I heard, Sly Boogie was on there. There was just so many MCs that I heard for the first time on there. And it just, and the crazy thing is, when you get that, and then you go and check out their music, and then they got another feature from somebody else, and there's just this trickle effect, and you're just like, whoa. And then all these dope MCs you know, that you just got this, you're like, oh man, I don't even know where to go. Oh, it's just so awesome. And I'm like, and nowadays it's like, it's the planet. You're so easy to get information now that there are so many dope MCs out there that you can access now. But back then, when you would come across that CD in the Music Trader, it was like you found gold. You know, you were like, whoa, you wouldn't believe what I found. What? Who's that? Virtuoso. Who's that? I don't know, but he's dope. You know what I mean? Like, Jedi Mind Tricks. When I heard Jedi Mind Tricks for the first time, I was like, that is a weird ass name. What the hell is that? You know what I mean? But now it's like, it's kind of, it kind of sticks. When you hear Jedi Mind Tricks, you don't think Star Wars.
No,
you think hip hop. You think Vinny Paz. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? And you're like, whoa. Same thing with, like, Eminem. When Eminem first came out, you think the bag of candy. That's what I thought. Hi, my name is, I thought of Eminem bags. Now, Eminem, you hear Eminem, you don't even think of candy. You think of the E backwards. You know what I mean? That shit. It's like, it's crazy how that shit happens. But all those MCs I heard about, including Eminem, he was on there too on the Wake Up Show.
Oh, he was amazing. Hey, you brought up some great names, man. Jedi Mind Tricks, Virtuoso. Michael Myers, Arrogant. Oh man,
A lot of
that's
people
the
don't
kind of
know
hip
about
hop I
Arrogant.
love, man. Eminem, woo, Almighty Arrogant. Oh
Like
golly.
it fits the description. If you think you're tight, keep your distance. You know, that was so tight.
Oh
That
man,
was
that's
sick.
great, dude. And so hey, that's a great point, man. The Wake Up Show was really, really major, man, back in the day, and it was good exposure, and just everybody had to come with their verse, man. So everybody, everything that
Yep.
came out of there was so tight. MC Juice, Supernatural,
Oh,
all that,
oh,
man.
Supernat, great one. Great name
Oh,
drop right there. That one right there, you know what's so cool is I remember I was like, I was real into like math and geometry and shit like that. So I remember this
yeah,
freestyle he did, and he was like, they were throwing him words, and he was
yep.
like, the Pythagorean theorem, and he was like, Pythagorean theorem, that's absurd. I ain't never heard of that word. You made it up and shit like that. I was like cracking up. I was like, oh, but that fool killed him. He's like, I'm gonna do this water flow. I'm a flowing MC. I was like, dude, this is so sick. Super Nat is insane. That's
Oh
sick.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
big
definitely.
influence because I do enjoy freestyling, and a lot of my friends and me would freestyle a lot. So someone like Super Nat, wow, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? For
Well,
sure.
hey, I'm glad that, and I haven't had anyone where I spoke to who brought up the Wake Up Show, which we all know it's major, man. So thank
Yeah,
you for bringing that up, man. That's a great
yeah,
point.
for sure.
Hey, and how'd you go about using Darren G as your MC name? Is that your government name, or
Yeah,
is there a story to it?
yeah. Before I used to try to come up with names. I had a couple. The one before Darren G was actually quite nice.
Okay.
It was kind of a play off of Most Def. I always thought Most Def had a pretty sick name.
Yep.
So I was like, Most Def, I could be quite nice, right? But found out there was
That's
an
pretty cool too.
MC in New York that went by quite nice, and I just wasn't. I don't know. I kept on getting this. I don't have enough like um, solidification in the game kind of thing to be repping something that somebody else is already. So I decided instead of doing quite nice, I would just go with Darren G, which is, yeah, my last name is Gittle, starts with G. But it flows nice. Darren G, it flows nice. So I was like, I'll just run with that, and I'll focus
Yeah.
on the rhymes and my lyrics and my skills first. Then I'll come up
Yep.
with a name later. And then the funny thing is, by the time I was like, yeah, I got my shit, everybody's like, I know Darren G. And I'm like, well, I can't change it now.
It's too late. Yeah.
So, but hey, ironically, there's other Darren G's out there too. So I can't
Yeah.
just keep from that. I mean, I'm the West Coast Darren G, or the San Diego, or Darren G 619, or you just got to separate yourself. No, you listen to them, you listen to me. It's fucking obvious. You know what I mean? It's a difference, but
Yeah. Hey,
everybody,
that's a great
everybody got,
point.
there's room for everybody, so they
Yeah.
can make music too.
Hey, I love it, man. That's a great philosophy to have, man. There's always room at the lunch table, man. So yeah,
Yeah,
right on. Hey,
for
so
sure.
was the community very accepting of you in your journey to becoming a rapper? Was it hard? Was just the scene quite tough to break in, or was it quite positive and everybody was like, "Come on, let's make music," or "Come on, let me give you a spot at the show"? What was your experience like?
I think that for the most part in San Diego, a lot of people are very like community driven, and they
Okay,
really do live in a an everybody kind of mentality.
okay,
There were times when there were cliques, so to
yeah,
speak, where you might not be able to ever get on that show. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But you could be all bummed out about it, or you could just go to the show and enjoy the experience.
I
But yeah,
love.
sometimes you weren't involved in some things and some people in some situations, but for the most part, everybody was very, you know, let's fucking make music together. So
That's
I always had a pretty good response from people. I mean, I feel like, you know what I mean, when you have something that you can bring to the table, and you're not like maybe going on stage too early, which I guess there's never too early, more like there's levels to this shit. That's what I always tell people with everything. But like, go to open mics, get used to it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Don't act like you're better than you really are, because you know what I mean, everybody can see it. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't, they try to rush things. And I think that's why a lot of times people kind of closed off doors, because, you know what I mean? There's a saying that I used to go by, and it's like, I'd rather be the wackest MC at the dopest show than be the dopest MC at a wackest show.
Oh,
Because,
man.
you know what I mean? Like, if I come to bring this to the table and I go and do a show and every MC that's on the lineup is better than me, whew, what? That's an insane show. But if I go to a show and I'm the headliner and I got everybody's worse and they're just beginner, whatever, the show's just lacking. It's not as good. But everybody has a place. And like I said, you know, there's going to be a place for you to go and test out your skills. I had to do it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before anybody's going to put you on a flyer, you have to go to open mics, period.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. Yeah, and so how did that opportunity with Cypher Effect happen? You know, you were there with it looked like a bunch of other San Diego MCs. I saw Nina Beretta on there, who I thought is also awesome too. I don't know if you guys all knew each other, but yeah, how did that opportunity come about?
It was actually really dope. Cypher Effect was expanding to San Diego from LA to do a few episodes. So I think they were going to do 3 originally, and so the contact is an MC named C-Ray. He's really dope, and he's real connected with the community. And so he reached out to a few MCs that he felt would fit the criteria and the bill and stuff like that. And I was lucky enough to make the cut. And in doing that, that was really cool, because some of the people I hadn't met yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know that I've actually done shows with some of them, but it depends on what kind of show. Like, here's an example: is Nina Beretta. She used to go by Vision Complex, and and back in the day, like this was like 2011 or something like that, we both opened up for the Far Side at 4th and B, and so that's that. And that was a really cool show. But I didn't see her because where I performed and she performed, and the venue is so huge. I can't believe they closed that down. It was insane. It was one of the dopest venues. Stage was chest high, bleacher kind of seats going up, VIP at the top, all inside. It was like a theater, but for like hip hop and other music and shit. It was really cool. But yeah, I did shows with her. Never met her yet. And then also like 3D, I hadn't met him yet, and I met him, and now to this day, I mean, 3D is a really good friend of mine, and
awesome.
We're always communicating and talking, and I'm always going to visit him and go to, you know, Halloween parties and shit at his house and shit. So that's my dog, you know what I mean? 3D is cool. Really dope. Shout out to 3D. Check out his music. He's sick. But yeah, I was able to meet him that day, which was really dope. And it's funny because he actually said that he was like, "Oh man, I saw you at the last 2 shows you rocked." And I was like, "You did?" Because I didn't see him. And he was like, "Yeah, man, you were killing it on the MPC." Like, fuck yeah, hell yeah. And he's like, "Hell yeah." You know what I mean? So I was like, "Oh, cool." So we vibed right from the beginning. And then Mr. Ridley, he was in that too. Mr. Ridley's the homie from back in the day. I was able to meet Bless Brando from the live. Good dude, you know what I mean? Jen Johnson, she's really cool. She's a cool ass person. Yeah, all those people are really cool. I really did enjoy doing that, and yeah, I don't think that I would have ever been kind of where I'm at when it comes to music if it wasn't for that kind of, you know what I mean? Everything does things, you know, and it takes you in certain paths, but that cypher just opened up so much ability to like communicate and work with other people, and obviously even up to this day, you know what I mean, you reach out because of that video. That's awesome, you know what I mean? So I'm super happy that I did that, you know what I mean? And then one more thing, I remember when we were going to do that, everybody was so hyped that they were like, Darren G's going first. Darren G's going first. Like, all right, first. I'll go first. All right. Because they knew me. So I was like, All right, so I like that. That was really cool because I guess my energy hyped everybody up. So I like that. That was really cool.
You're right, man. And I probably, like, those are just fun to watch, as an average hip hop fan. And so the first one set it off, man. I thought you did it proper, man. And I was like, dude,
Appreciate
this
it.
dude. Yeah, yeah. So awesome, man. Well, good. Hey, how did you feel about going first? Did you not want to go first, or?
No, I kind of liked it. I mean,
Okay.
I didn't mind. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Uh-huh.
it's yeah. I always felt like I had kind of a leader mentality. You know what I mean? When I was
Oh,
younger, I'd always be like organizing games in the pool. You know what I mean? So for me to go first, I felt like, yeah, let me just set the tone. So yeah, it was cool. I liked it actually. I like being going first, honestly.
yeah, great video, man. And so you mentioned C. Ray, who was kind of the lead for that. And I think, is this the same C. Ray that produced Distance Away? Or was that a
No,
different?
actually, no. This is a San Diego artist. So
Okay.
that's funny you say that. So it's spelled different. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
C Ray
Yeah.
here is with a REY. But that's a good
Okay.
question. Very good question.
Oh man.
The other C Ray, he's out in Canada. He's a producer out in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, well, that's hey, I guess we'll jump into that, man. Which Distance Away was another great song that you did. I'm howling at the moon when I shoot victims. I bruise all my knuckles because I move different. Man,
Ooh.
I'm a lyrics dude, man, and the hook, man. The destiny's a distance away. This is where we rest for the day, and a place tomorrow meets yesterday. This is where the pen meets the page. What inspired that song, man? I love it.
Um, a lot of times, like it's interesting because my inspiration doesn't always come like I don't get like, oh, that's what I'm gonna write about, right? It's
Right,
like,
right. You're just
it
right.
almost unbirths in a way that's kind of like interesting. Like the best way I could describe it is like an old dude that's like whittling some wood, and he's just like, there's a fish in here, but it's the wood's telling me what it wants to do. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So that's the interesting part is like I look at it like that sometimes because I'll hear a beat and yeah, I'll get inspired, but it's like that one. I just it just feels like some like Western cowboy shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm about to ride to the next town and I gotta stop and fucking rest. You know what I mean? Type shit. And then it's also kind of and then it moved towards like a metaphor for what we're doing in life. You know what I mean? You have to
Right.
stop because and also and then the lyrics. So the lyric and it's funny because the chorus didn't even come until the first verse was done. So
Man, that's a
do the
great chorus.
I did the first verse and then it's like I just felt like I needed to, I don't know, like it was interesting how the chorus was made after the first
Yeah.
verse instead of before it. And then that's kind of why we're in the second verse. I was like, it's high noon, so reach for the sky. I was just jumping more into the whole fucking Western fucking cowboy shit.
Yeah, yeah.
But also keeping it still in a braggadocious manner, like I like to do. You know what I mean? I like to let the pen flow. I used to put a lot more fillers, but I think that it's more cohesive now. But I do
Yeah.
let it kind of be airy in a way where it's playful and it's not always just so straight to the topic too much. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Yep.
Because I like to play with words. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm a wordsmith and I like to do these cool patterns and these backgrounds and stuff. And then I go back and I listen to them and I go, whoa! And then I'm a fan. I'm like, dang, good job, man. And I'm like, that's cool too when I can impress myself. That's fun.
Yeah, it was, man. I was listening to it. I was like, oh, howling at the moon. I said, this motherfucker's crazy, man. I love it.
That's
So
tight.
I really enjoyed just the visuals from that song. And then again, the hook was very, yeah, it was very deep, man. I guess however you interpreted, man, I thought it was dope, man. I'm always, you think about time and future and the destiny where you're supposed to be at. And so, yeah, in a place tomorrow means yesterday, man. That's nuts, man. I love it, man. It was great.
Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, the next song I jumped into was Exit Plan, which was another dope song, man. And so, yeah, what was the story behind that track?
Exit Plan is produced by the homie Just Beats. He's also
Okay.
out of Canada as well. And he hit me up for like a producer album. He's gonna do a producer album, so he sent me a bunch of beats to pick. So I picked that one, and I already had. The funny thing is, I already had a verse written for a
Okay.
different beat. But then when I wrote the first verse to that, the second, like I was just like, that other one is just gonna be perfect over here. It was weird how that worked, and I put
Yeah.
it, and it just made it even better. And it's like because it's almost like a progression too, because
Yeah.
I kind of rhyme differently in the first verse than in the second one. It almost gets more intense, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was for a producer album, and I didn't feel like I wanted to do a chorus on this one. I just wanted to
Yeah.
do just some raw lyrics. And then in this one, same thing, I went into it and I'm listening to the beat and it just gets me like, okay, man, just,
Yeah.
man, y'all are tripping. Y'all ain't, whew, I'm about to kill him, whew, and then, it makes me go in that area. Cause I could go in so many different directions. Like I love when
Yeah.
people challenge me too with the feature. They're like, here's the direction. Ooh, challenge accepted. I gotta write this way. But this one took
Yeah.
in that I'm on top of the world. Who's gonna And it puts it on like a intense hype level. So it's gonna be good
Right.
other songs, I think, because you kind of want a wave action going on. Don't always want just straight hype songs straight through. So um I think, and he liked it a lot. And I asked him, I
Yeah.
was, do you mind if I drop it as a single? He's like, nah, that's cool. And so I recorded it myself and then I mixed it and mastered it myself. I haven't done that in a long time, so I'm not as skilled as, or I can't do it. Like it sounds good, but I can't do it the way I want it to be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like
I
this
hear you.
way, I had somebody else mix and master that. I think they did a really, really good job, and it's got a lot of good feel, and it's at a good level. But
Yeah, and that's a great point you mentioned too, man. Just it brought out a different side of you, and so I was exposed to you as the conceptual Darren G, and then this one was definitely rip your face off. And the lyrics again, man. You want a piece of me? I had you praying to Jesus' peace. I'm
ooh,
ET and you a Reese's piece, and I'm
yes,
feasting when I sink my teeth. Yo, beef, that's what's for dinner. It's time to feed the beast. Man, that was hard, man. I enjoyed that, man. I'm a big dude on when it comes to lyrics, man. So that's what I appreciate you, man. You put some time into what you write, man.
I appreciate that.
So there's a bunch of stuff I found too online, and so the album, unfortunately, I wasn't able to listen to it on the file, but just a lot of the stuff I found online, man, just really awesome, man. And so, are you the type of MC that likes to write with a beat or without a beat?
Yeah, I like to write with the beat, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
okay.
I think people around me a lot of times would get annoyed because it would just be on.
Yeah.
So they're like, "How do you listen to the same beat for 4 hours straight?" I'm like, "Because I'm writing a rap. Because I don't hear it
Yeah,
the way you
exactly.
do it. You know what I mean?" I'm just over. I'm like, it still sounds dope. If it starts getting mind numbing, I'll have to shut it off and like either do another song or do something else. But yeah, I could listen to beats constantly, the same one, and write a rap. You know what I mean? And just get into it. Because what I like to do here, that is because I write I write my I write my raps in a way where I write my breath control. Like I don't actually write it. So a lot of
Right.
people don't they lose their pace and they lose their breath because they don't incorporate that. They try to write thinking that they're going to be able to spit that. I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
always write in the way of I can spit it thoroughly through and not have to do punch-ins because I
That's right.
like to perform shows, you know?
Right.
And so when I write it, I'm like, I literally I'll be listening to the beat, and if I'm writing 4 bars and I'm trying to get the fifth and the sixth bar going, if I go and I get the fifth and the sixth bar done, I don't just keep writing. Like I want to know where it's at and make sure it lines up and where my feel is, right? So I'm like, okay, start it over, start from the beginning and wrap it out. Start over, start from the beginning and wrap out. Okay. You know what I mean? Like I just keep it going because I want it to be consistent, because I've had times where I went and just wrote something and then it just didn't fit the beat and I was just off with it. And I was like, well, what happened? Because you didn't start the beat over and then keep writing the rap or keep testing what you're writing. You know what I mean? Until it's done, you know? And that also helps too. What I like about that as well is because it's such a repetitive nature, and you keep doing this 4-bar, all of a sudden 6-bar, 8-bar, 8. Everything that you keep repeating is just getting implemented in your head. By the time I'm writing the bars, I don't even need damn paper anymore or the phone. It's in here. I'm done. I'm like, hey, check out my new verse I just wrote. Yo, they're like, how do you fucking do that shit? You already know it? I'm like, yeah, I already know it. Let's go in the fucking booth. Let's go. You know what I mean? I'm ready to rock it. And that's an important thing too. You know,
being able to memorize it.
Got to be prepared. You know what I mean? People pay for studio time and they go in there unprepared.
Know? Yeah.
So
no, that's great.
Always tried to keep myself in that mentality. You know what I mean? But yeah.
And I enjoyed a lot of the videos that you do where there's snippets of you rhyming and then you're banging out beats, or you're drumming on the keypad at the same time. Yeah, and so is that how long have you been practicing that little bit, man? It's great.
Well, one day I was like, it was like a couple of years into the scene and everything, and I was just trying to create something to separate myself from everybody else. I was like, well, you know, I can make beats and I can rap. I'm like, but it just popped in my head. I'm like, does anybody do that at the same time, or does anybody, you know? So I started like trying to practice doing the live beats. I'm not as good as like a lot of these guys online that make the beats.
Right.
You know what I mean? But me doing the beat sessions was a build up to try to be step up another notch and do everything at the same time. So that was just kind of like practice. And then I would like at the end, a lot of times I would incorporate both of them and try to do that. And I stopped doing that just because I wanted to like see if anybody else would do it or whatever, and then I also tried to focus on like a work career, you know, and I stepped back from music for a little bit. But it wasn't right because, you know, we think that we're trying to pursue like a career or a job when it comes to music. And that's a misconception, because it would be lovely if we could. Yeah, that would be awesome if we could make music or money in music, you know, but this is an outlet of self-expression. It's I call it aggressive yoga, because it gets shit off my chest. You know what I mean? It's my therapy, you know?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, when I make beats, it brings me peace. And when I rap, it lets the beast out, you know, just you let it out, you know? And so it's a cool little area to be if you can find something in life like that. And not a lot of people do. So I had to realize, I'm like, oh, you want to stop doing that? And then now you don't have a passion.
Yeah.
And even though I stopped doing music, I realized that the whole time I never really stopped rapping. Like I would always spit raps. I would always still rap. I mean, I'm always at work and I'm like just freestyling. I battle people at work. I'm just being silly. Like I battle my coworkers. They don't even rap, but I'm just like, you know, yo, you like a pog and I'm a slammer. Yo, what are you doing? You don't even know how to use a hammer, you know? And they're like, they're just, you know, I just clown on people and people just think it's funny. And and then they're like, dude, I've never met anybody that just wants to rap all the time.
I love it, man.
It's cool though. It's fun.
Yeah, no, I like that, man. You're right. Outlet for expression. And I took a long break too, because I did the same thing. I thought I'm just gonna focus on my work. And you're right, man. I never stopped rapping. I was always rapping in the shower, driving, or just thinking about it, man. And so Yeah, it's good. I'm glad that it led you back to you making music again, because I took quite a long break too, man, and I missed it too much. So a great point, man. Hey man, so did you experiment in anything else? Was it always just beat making and rapping, or did you try anything else? Did you do any sort of tagging? Or did you break dance? Any other element of hip hop?
Yeah, actually, I had a friend when I was 16. I influenced my friend to start rapping, and he influenced me to start tagging. And so we would go
Nice.
bombing in the tunnels. We had a
Yeah.
crew. I've done pieces. I got pretty good can control. Like I got pretty good can control. I'm gonna say my artistic side on the letters. I'm not as clever when it comes to these awesome stuff that people
Yeah.
do, but like I can make it look clean and legible and consistent. I've done some pretty cool pieces back in the day. And breakdancing, it's funny because I think that I tried breakdancing when I was younger,
Yeah.
like around 11 and stuff. I started breakdancing because I met some people that were breakdancers actually, and they taught me a bunch of stuff. And then when I went into school, I met more people that did breakdancing and shit, and they taught me even more. And we would do it at school. And
Yeah.
it's funny. It's funny because even today, I still remember some stuff, and I'm in pretty good shape. I don't hurt myself. And like I said, just like rapping at work, sometimes I'll just start doing some up rock. You know what I mean? And then I'll jump on the ground and I'll like flipping, spinning around, and then I'll jump into a little crab and I'll do a little bit, but I'll fall and I'm like, So yeah, I dabbled in it. I played around with it. Never did it like really well, and I didn't like pursue the breakdancing or anything like that. Tagging, I did do that a lot more, and then hip hop and beat making for sure. DJing, no, never DJed though. So out of the elements, I think that's the only one I never dabbled in.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so, man, like you said, man, you've been doing it for quite some time. Took a break, found your way back. But what continues to motivate you to make music, man? How do you keep yourself going? How do you keep the fire going in terms of making music and writing, recording?
That's a good question because I feel like I don't really keep the fire going. I think it
Mhm.
comes in waves for me because
Okay.
I feel inspired sometimes and almost like I'm on fire right now. Like
Right.
I gotta keep writing right now because it's on point. And then I'll hit a point where I'm just like, well, I got that out, and I need to either do something with it or do something else and let
Yeah.
the creative juices fill up again. Like forcing it. I mean,
Yeah.
I can. If someone was like, I got this collab and it's awesome. For some reason, I think that's the easiest way for me to find inspiration actually, is when
Okay.
I collab. Like if somebody sends me a beat and they got a verse on it or something, and I gotta
Right.
write through it. I'm like, all right, yeah, concept is this. Oh, I gotta focus, I gotta plan, boom. But when it's on me, and
Yeah.
it's almost like when I get off work and I got a girlfriend, but she don't live with me. So I'm like, when I'm getting off work and I'm coming home, I'm like, I don't have to answer to anything. I don't have obligations that I have to do. It's on me. I could do whatever I want. So it's harder, actually. I feel like
Yeah.
it's harder to get myself to do something that only I am making myself responsible to do.
Yeah.
Where if I feel like there's an obligation because I told you, okay, I'm gonna finish this collab, you know what I mean? I like to be a man of my word. And for some reason
Yeah.
I could break my word to myself for some reason, which doesn't make any sense. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Respect myself. Come on, man, do that. So I need to be better about that. But
Yeah.
that just is the funny part is like when there's something else to do, it puts a little more like for somebody else, it puts a little fire under my ass and gets me to do it more. So it's interesting.
Yeah. No, that is so true, man. I've got like beats that I'm sitting on that I know I want to use, and it's been like I don't know how long it's been, but you're right. The minute that you got to do it for someone, you have that obligation, right?
Yep.
And
Hmm.
so, yeah, yeah. Hey, I respect that commitment. Super cool, man. Well, hey man, you got work, music, girlfriend, and just life in general. And what do you like to do for fun outside of making music? I see that you're a big motorcycle rider. I see the surfboard. I see you're good with like putting cars together, man. What are your primary hobbies?
Yeah, I like to do a lot of stuff actually. Like
Yeah.
I thought about doing a YouTube channel. Well, I haven't yet,
Yeah.
but I thought about doing like a series called Adventures with Darren G because I'm always doing different stuff. It's just all over the place, and I just enjoy like figuring things out
Yeah.
and trying new things.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, I got a 110 RC truck that I go and mess around with sometimes,
Yeah.
and then I break it, and then I gotta fix it. And I'm telling you, I'm like half of the fun is tinkering with it. I love tinkering with shit, so I have fun putting shit together and cleaning it and taking it apart and making it
Yeah.
cool. Same thing with the cars and
That's
trucks.
a skill, bro.
I like doing that stuff. I mean, I went and I got my truck or my Forerunner. I'm actually gonna do it again. It's funny because I had a engine head gasket go, and then so I went and I just fixed the head gasket myself, but I didn't have the heads resurfaced.
Yeah.
So it was a risk, but it turned out not to be a good idea. But I did put it together. I did it myself, took the engine apart, did the head gaskets, put it all back together, and I was very
Yeah.
proud of myself. And the crazy thing about it is, I don't know, it's like some people are built different ways, you know, but everybody's like, you take pictures and label. And I was like, all right, I will. You know, I promise I will. I put 3 pieces of blue tape on 3 hoses right when I was taking the intake stuff off, and I labeled those. I'm telling you right now, nothing else got labeled. Those 3 things, the only thing I labeled, and then I just kind of got over it, and I was just taking everything apart, and I just put it into bags in certain places, and I just know, and then I was able to put it together, just remember. So it's just I just feel like I don't need that all the labels and stuff. I think it was more confusing, but yeah, I like doing that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like a challenge that I feel like for me, a lot of people they tell you what they want to do, and here's the interesting thing: it's like it's a psychological thing. When you share your goals and aspirations on a level of like, I'm gonna rebuild this engine. Do you know what I mean? And when you tell somebody that, even though you haven't done it yet, it already gives you the dopamine like you already did it. And it's a weird psychological thing. And then most of the time when people do that, they don't follow through because
Yeah.
they got the satisfaction they needed. For me, I need to finish it. It's weird. It's like maybe that doesn't apply to me though because I I don't care what the other people think. Like some people are like, well, you don't just tell them that you just didn't know, like tell them you caught a fish. Hey, just tell him you caught a fish, you know? Just to say you caught a fish, just so he'll get jealous or something. And I'm like, nah, can't do it. I can't. Yeah, I have to catch a fish to tell you I caught a fish. You know what I mean? So I have to accomplish it, and then that gives me the satisfaction, the real satisfaction. So accomplishing things, it's fun. That's fun to me.
Uh,
You know what I mean?
that's a great point, man. Just you're right. People wanna verbalize it, but never execute it, and or some use it to their advantage to make it manifest. Man, I guess it's just on the person,
That's
but
true though. I think different people. For me, honestly, when it
yeah.
comes to like fixing something, I think I'm better with that. Now that I'm
Okay.
kind of thinking about it, when it comes to music, I think that's where it's actually a very bad thing for me. If I share something too early, you know, like
Yeah.
if I make a song and I'm like, let's say, okay, exit plan and distance away. I haven't released those. Not to say like even if you played it on here or if it did get shared, wouldn't be a big deal. But for me to go out of my way and just release it and say, hey, check
Yeah.
this out. Hey, check this out. Hey, check this out. Check out what I got. So even 10 people, I'm prematurely giving myself the dopamine of I released it.
Right.
And then what'll happen maybe because I've seen myself do this is that song I don't ever push it again. It never gets pushed. It never gets put out. It does nothing happens to it. I got songs. I got so many songs. I keep telling myself, get that shit and put it out. Doesn't matter where it's at, because I always think everything needs to be perfect, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It can be
That's
raw.
tough.
Exit Plan, was it good? I mean, was the song good?
I love the song. Yeah.
That one, I feel like it's so rough though. It's not mastered and mixed well enough. Not like Distance Away. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It still has
Right.
its own, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it could be better, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's tough, man. We're our biggest critics, man. And so you're right, man. That I had to learn was to, like, sometimes I'm just never gonna get it to where I think one, but it's good. It's good enough, man.
Like also recording it in the booth. How many times people try to keep doing it over because they want it perfect, what's in their head. Other people are like, I don't even hear a difference. It sounds like what you're saying. Exactly. What are you doing? Just stop. Drive yourself insane. Yeah, we are our worst critics for sure.
Yeah, man, that's an awesome skill that you got, man. Breaking shit down, putting it back together, and then bikes, man. You've been riding bikes for a long time, or was that a fairly new hobby?
Street bike, couple years, but I used to ride dirt bikes. You know, I used to have.
Go transition.
Old Honda 250 two-stroke, pretty powerful back in the day. I used to take my truck out there, and that was fun. I used to love going out in the desert, man. I almost want to trade in my street bike and get another dirt bike, honestly, but the street bike's cool. I like it. I'm going to utilize it anyways. Like, it's good to have that as a second vehicle right now, too, because I'm going to utilize it while I rebuild the motor. So that would be cool. Yep.
Yeah, and so do you have so I guess this is probably the debate, man. Sports bikes, cruisers? Are you not a big cruiser guy, or do you see yourself transition?
Sport bike. I like the sport bike thing.
I've always been.
Yeah, I've always been. I do like the naked style, and that's the funny thing is, like, I was really interested in getting one of the naked bikes. Not a cruiser, because they still have power in them, but I like the naked look of them, like a Ducati kind of look, or even KTM makes a dope street bike that's kind of naked. But I got this Honda CBR 600, and then a friend of mine was messing with it in a parking lot, and he crashed it into the wall, and so I had to replace the front forks, and the fairings were done. And mind you, I did everything myself as well. I just looked up the parts, found them, boom, boom. It was cool. I even attached in the garage. I attached a like a ring to the joist in the ceiling, and then I strapped the frame up with ratchet straps, and I just ratcheted up, and that was my lift for my motorcycle while I worked on the whole front end. So that was cool, clever. But I replaced everything and got it back to running because I felt like didn't want it to go to waste. And then I did a pretty good job, in my opinion. I mean, I take it up to, like, being that I replaced the front forks, you know, I do all the torque specs correctly and all that good stuff. I take it up to like 120, 130 sometimes, and it's fine. It's just smooth still. I plan on putting fairings on it again to make it look more like the street bike, actually. Because it got crashed, I was able to go with the naked bike thing, you know, and I did it, you know, I've been riding it like that for a while, but I won't lie, that shit, the wind hits you in the chest, man. Like, if you go anywhere above 75 or whatever, I'm just like, it's like a workout, you know. So I want to put fairings back on it to get more, you know, aerodynamic and stuff again, and it'll bring it back to more of the street bike look. But I like the fast ones for sure, even because you can still cruise on it, you know what I mean, and it sounds cool. I like Hondas, you know, the old fucking race Civics and stuff like that from back in the day. So having a Honda CBR street bike, it's like that's kind of the hand-in-hand shit, you know what I mean? The rice rocket and the crotch rocket, you know?
I know, like, in San Diego, you know, you got a big Asian community, and they had, back in the day, the rice rockets, and the racing scene was quite big too, man. So
I still have
that's interesting.
He still has a raced out Civic. It's an old EG body, and it has it has a really powerful.
I love seeing those cars, man.
It's amazing. He used to race it at Verona, and recently he swapped it around to get it street legal. Because he would race it. He's been racing the same body for years, and he would just blow a motor, make a new one, blow a motor, do a new one, like, or you know what I mean? He was just getting that fast speed. And so this time he rebuilt it so he could start driving it on the street. But yeah, shouts out to him, EG Mob.
Well, hey man, I want to jump into the fun portion of the interview where we close out with some funny questions, man. And
Sure.
And I get to see what kind of sense of humor you have. So, man, you look like a fun dude to hang out with. But what is Darren G's favorite comedy movie of all time?
Comedy movie of all time. Dang, that's a hard one. I like too many comedies. Oh my gosh. When someone says like, what movie you want to watch, I'll just go
for yeah, whatever, right? Yeah. Well, okay, what's the top one on your list though?
A good comedy movie, I'd have to say I'll give it up to Ace Ventura 2.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, part 2.
I love 1 as well, but it's very rare that number 2 can be as good as number 1. And I love how colorful and just different number 2 is. Number 2 is just amazing movie. You know what I mean? I love that shit. All of Jim Carrey's funny movies are amazing.
Legendary.
But that one right there, oh man, I love that. So good.
Awesome, man. Hey, San Diego is home to some of the best, in my opinion, Mexican food ever, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hey, man, Mexican food, man. What's your favorite Mexican dish, man, when you're out there?
My favorite, honestly, would have to be, man, you know, I kind of fell in love with sopas. They're really, really good, and I didn't have them for a long time, but they're really, really bomb. And if you go to a place that makes them, because not every place makes them, they're usually really good. You know what I mean? Definitely.
For sure. All right. Hey, man, if Darren G could have dinner with anybody in history, present, past, dead or alive, which 2 people would you pick?
I think I would pick my daughter, and she's 11 right now. She lives in Vegas, and I choose her as one of them because the other one would be my mother, who isn't around anymore. She passed away 10 years ago, and she was like my best friend, and she used to go to every single one of my hip hop shows.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Even though she had just gotten chemotherapy from having cancer. So she would have to be at every single show. So I would definitely do a dinner with her and my daughter. Yeah.
I love it, man. Great answer, dude. Well, with that, hey, man, again, man, I told you from the start when I reached out that, man, I love your delivery flow, man, and I'm glad that there's music out there for people to hear. I hope that you eventually get some of that other stuff that you have hiding from the world out because it's good music.
I will.
And I look forward to that, man. So again, thank you. It was an honor to talk to you on this session. I look forward to sharing it. Do you have any final words before we close this dope interview out?
I want to say thank you for reaching out to me. This helps and inspires me to put my music out, and I promise that I'm gonna get all of that stuff that I have cluttering with dust out for sure. Definitely. Good. Not only for me, for everybody else, you know? Like it's always good.
It, man. All right, brother. Well, hey man, I'm gonna give you your weekend back. Enjoy. Thank you again, man. We'll keep in touch.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for having me, bro.